This Thanksgiving, my family chose each other and left me out. The betrayal was silent, but it cut the deepest. A wound I never saw coming, and one I'll never forget. You ever walk into a room and feel it before you even sit down? Like, something's not being said, but everyone knows it. That silence that's not actually silent. Just loaded. That was Thanksgiving this year. My mom's house. Seattle. Cold, wet, gray as always. I pulled into the driveway with a bottle of red and a small container of homemade cranberry orange chutney. I hadn't planned to show up at all, honestly, but she kept calling. Just one dinner, Noah. One night. For Ava. Please. And I caved. Like I always did. The house looked the same. The wreath was up on the door. Fake fall leaves wrapped around the staircase banister. The smell of turkey and potatoes floated out through the screen door. From the outside, it looked like every picture-perfect Thanksgiving I'd spent my whole life pretending to be part of. Inside, though, that's where the mask cracked. Everyone was already seated when I walked in. My mom waved me over like nothing was wrong, like we hadn't barely spoken in months. Cousin Riley gave me a tight, closed-lip smile from across the room. Uncle Martin raised his glass with a kind of hollow enthusiasm, and Ben, my younger brother, stood at the head of the table like he was hosting a corporate meeting. That should have been the first red flag. Before we go further, don't forget to like this story, hit subscribe, and tap the bell so you don't miss what happens next. Ben always wanted to be the center of attention. Ever since we were kids, he was the golden one. Charming, loud, a natural performer. He could crash mom's car and somehow end up with extra dessert. Meanwhile, I once forgot to feed the cat for a day and got grounded for a week. That's just how it was. I sat down quietly. My seat was between Ethan, Ben's husband, and Aunt Riley. The table was fully set, candles lit, turkey carved, stuffing steaming, wine already halfway down most glasses. No one made space for my cranberry chutney. Fine. Small talk started. Ethan asked about my work. I gave short answers. I kept glancing at Ben, who was way too quiet. He wasn't eating, just watching. Then, just as Mom picked up the carving knife, Ben stood up. He tapped his fork against his glass. Ting, ting, ting. Before we carve the turkey, he said, there's something we need to say. The room froze. Forks midair. Wine glasses halfway up to lips. I felt it in my chest like a punch that hadn't landed yet. My gut twisted. I knew that tone, I thought. It was the same smug, performative tone he used to get me in trouble back when we were kids. The same voice he used to tell Mom I was bullying him when I wouldn't let him copy my homework. Same energy. Ben smiled. Rehearsed, plastic, like he was about to win an award. We had a family vote, he said, scanning the table. And we've decided you're not family anymore. Silence. I blinked. What? Then a cheering. Actual cheering. Cousin Riley clapped like she was at a concert. Uncle Martin raised his wine glass again, smirking. Even my mother, my own mother, let out a short, nasal laugh and said, well, someone had to say it. I sat there, staring at my plate. The stuffing had gone cold, but I could feel my pulse in my jaw, my fingertips, my ears. My dad, who hadn't even looked at me once since I walked in, muttered, it's probably for the best, and sipped his beer. I pushed my chair back slowly. Wow, I said. You guys actually rehearsed this. Ben grinned wider. You've been toxic for years, Noah. We're just finally calling it what it is. You're not family, my mom added, passing the cranberry sauce like we were just talking about the weather. It's unanimous. I scanned the table. No one objected. Not Ethan. Not Aunt Riley. Not even the ones who owed me money. Not one of them even blinked. It wasn't even anger I felt in that moment. It was clarity. Like, oh, this is who they are. Okay, I said, reaching into my bag. Then you won't need this. I pulled out a thick manila folder. Crisp, heavy. I placed it dead center on the table, right in front of the mashed potatoes. The thunk it made was loud enough to stop the background noise. Ben blinked. What's that? He asked. I leaned back in my chair. Calm. Why don't you find out? He reached for it with that same smug face he wore when we were kids, when he thought he was winning. But when he opened it, the air in the room shifted. He flipped the first page. Froze. The smirk died. He flipped another. Then another. His face went pale. His hands started to shake. And then he screamed, like full-throated horror movie screamed. The chair behind him crashed to the floor. He slammed the folder shut like it burned his hands. "You sick freak. You manipulative freak." Gasps echoed around the table. Ethan grabbed the folder, flipped it open. His eyes scanned the pages, his lips moving silently. Then he looked at me. Is this real?" I nodded. Every word, every transfer, every screenshot. The room went dead silent. You could hear the tick of the thermostat on the wall. My mom's jaw opened, then closed again, like a fish gasping for air. "You thought I wouldn't fight back," I said, rising from my chair. "You thought I'd stay quiet, be the doormat, the wallet, the fixer." I leaned forward, eyes locked on Ben's. His mouth was quivering. "But your little show?" I said. "It's over. And that folder? That was just the beginning." Ben was still shaking when Ethan took the folder from his hands. I swear you could feel the heat get sucked out of the room the second Ethan started flipping through those pages. The only sounds were the low hum of the refrigerator and the creak of someone shifting in their chair too fast. Ethan flipped to page 2, then 3. He looked up at me, then down again. "Is this all real?" I didn't blink. Every word, every transfer, every receipt, every single one of you has a line item in that folder. And suddenly no one was hungry anymore. My mother had gone sheet white. Her hand hovered over the gravy boat like she'd forgotten what it was for. Uncle Martin, who had just been smirking and sipping his third glass of Pinot, was now staring at the edge of the table like it might bite him. Ben, still standing, was frozen in place, fist clenched, eyes darting to the folder like it might come alive and strangle him. Ethan cleared his throat, flipped another page, then paused. "Wait, what's this about the $4,200 charge at the Santa Monica Inn?" I didn't respond. That part wasn't really for him, but he needed to see it. Ben's head snapped toward Ethan. "Don't start." Ethan's brow furrowed. "Who's Alyssa?" Silence. Not the stunned kind. The guilty kind. The kind where everyone knows something but no one wants to say it first. And then my mom, God bless her delusional soul, tried to smooth it over. "Can we please just calm down and be reasonable?" she said. "This is still Thanksgiving." "Sure," I said, turning to her. "Let's be reasonable. Let's talk about the time you called me a parasite while cashing the check I sent you for your overdue mortgage." Her mouth opened, but no words came out. Just a small, breathless inhale, like she couldn't believe I'd actually say it out loud. "We were under stress," she said weakly. "No," I snapped. "You were under stress. And I bailed you out. Every single time." I turned to my dad. "And you? You just let them do it. You knew. You saw. You heard. And you sat there like it wasn't your problem. Like I was just disposable." He didn't deny it. No one did. Ethan kept reading. Page after page of detailed financial records. Every payment I made to keep someone else afloat. Every Venmo transfer. Every wire. Every bailout. Every guilt trip. Every moment I was made to feel like not helping made me selfish or cruel. And not just money. Screenshots of texts, DMs, emails, copies of Facebook threads they forgot I could still see, Ben calling me a cash cow with no spine. My mother telling Aunt Riley that I was emotionally stunted and needed to feel needed or he'll die alone. "I helped you," I said slowly, "because I thought it was love. But you didn't love me. You loved what I could do for you." Ben slammed his palm on the table. "You're just bitter because no one needs you anymore." "No," I said, voice flat. "I'm not bitter. I'm done." "God, do you even hear yourself?" he shouted. "You brought a folder to a family dinner. Who does that?" "Someone who's been gaslit into thinking he's the villain," I said. "Someone who got tired of being called dramatic every time he asked for basic decency. Someone who knew, deep down, that this day was coming and refused to let you rewrite the story." He sneered. "You think this makes you a martyr? You think we're all just monsters and you're the noble victim?" "No," I said. "I'm not the victim. I was the safety net, the scapegoat, the therapist, the accountant, the emergency contact, the human duct tape, but not anymore." Ethan set the folder down, gently. His eyes were still on the page. He looked wrecked, confused, maybe even ashamed. He said nothing. Then he turned to Ben. "Is it true?" Ben didn't answer. He just stared at me with something between panic and rage. "You lied to me," Ethan said. About the hotel. The money. About him. Ben's voice cracked. I had to. He was turning everyone against me. I wasn't, I said. You did that all by yourself. Then came the guilt campaign. My mom leaned in, softening her tone. Noah, honey, we were angry, but we're still family. Can't we move past this? I smiled. It wasn't kind. You're not listening, I said. I'm not asking for peace. I'm not asking for forgiveness. I'm telling you, I'm done. Ben scoffed. Oh, come on. You've said that before. I met his eyes, steady and calm. Not like this. I reached into my coat pocket and pulled out a second envelope. Tossed it onto the table. Ethan caught it before it hit the floor. He opened it. His eyebrows shot up. Is this? Yes, I said. Power of attorney? Revoked. Medical proxy? Revoked. Emergency contact? Removed. Every legal responsibility I held over any of you. Canceled. My lawyer finalized it last week. My mom gasped. You're cutting ties completely? She whispered. Completely, I said. Starting now. Tears welled in her eyes. You're being selfish. We made mistakes. But we're still your family. I looked at her for a long, heavy second. Then I said, no, you're not. I took my coat, my keys, walked toward the front door while they all sat there. Cold food, colder stares, and truths they never thought I'd actually say out loud. And then I left. I didn't run. I didn't slam the door. I walked out into the night, stepped off that porch, and inhaled the cold November air like it was the first breath I'd taken in years. I didn't go home right away. I pulled off the highway and drove to this little lake near where Dad used to take us fishing. Just sat in the silence. And you know what I felt? Not guilt, not sadness, just stillness. And that stillness? It felt like freedom. The first few days after Thanksgiving were silent, beautifully, eerily quiet. No texts, no missed calls, no one asking if I was coming to Mom's post-dinner leftovers brunch. The kind of quiet I hadn't had in years. Not since they got used to calling me every time a tire popped, a bill came due, or someone needed just a little something to get through the month. The quiet wasn't scary. It was peaceful. Unsettling at first, but in the best way. I could hear myself think again. I could sleep. For 3 straight nights, I slept like I hadn't since I was 25. And then, the phone buzzed. Day 4. A missed call from Mom. No voicemail. Then another. Then finally, a message. We were angry, but we're still your family. You really mean to cut us off over one bad night? I didn't reply. Day 5. A text from Ben. Joel's filing for divorce. You don't even realize what you've done. Ava is crying every night. You happy? Wait, Joel? No. Ethan. Ben's husband. Old habits. Even in his meltdown, Ben still couldn't own anything. Still had to push blame. Make it about me. I left that message on read. Then my dad texted. A single line. You went too far. Your mother is a wreck. Come fix this. No, how are you? No, let's talk. Just a command. The same way they always operated. Like I was still some extension of their needs. A faucet they could turn off and on depending on the day. I muted the thread. And I thought. I'd feel guilty. I expected to feel guilty. Thought I'd toss and turn at night. Wonder if I overreacted. But instead, I felt calm. I started waking up early again. Not because I had to, but because I wanted to. I made real breakfast. French press coffee. I even put on a playlist while I shaved. I hadn't done that in a decade. I started therapy. Real therapy. Not the, I'm fine, just tired, kind. And not because I was broken, but because for the first time in my adult life, I wasn't pouring all my energy into other people. I could finally look at myself and ask, what do you need? I froze all the joint accounts they had access to. Changed every password. Took myself off my mother's emergency contact. Blocked Ben on every platform. And I didn't do it to punish them. I did it to breathe. But a week later, the text changed tone. Riley messaged me. The same cousin who clapped when Ben exiled me. I didn't know you paid for my tuition. I'm so sorry. I followed the crowd. You were always the one who actually helped. I didn't answer, but I read it. Twice. Then came the shocker. Ethan messaged me. Ethan, Ben's husband. The guy who'd sat in silence for most of the dinner. I filed the papers. Everything in that folder, it checked out. Ben lied. He cheated. He manipulated. Not just you, me too. I should have left sooner. I didn't know how to feel. I wasn't expecting that. But it landed. Quiet. Heavy. Honest. A few days later, I applied for a job in another city. Not out of panic. Not to escape. But because, for the first time in years, I could. No more, but you need to stay close to home. No more. Who will take care of them if you leave? I reconnected with friends I hadn't seen in years. People I distanced myself from because I was always too busy. Always playing emotional janitor for the family. And here's the kicker. Some of those friends had seen my post on Reddit. The original one. The story I shared just to get it out of my chest. And they messaged me. We're proud of you. That was brave. They didn't deserve you. No one asked for money. No one dropped a guilt bomb. Just support. Clean. Simple. I was starting to think, maybe this really was the start of something new. Then Christmas rolled around. December 22nd. My phone buzzed again. This time, a photo from Mom. No text. Just the image. It was the living room, stockings hung. Tree half decorated. In the center, an empty space. The place where the presents usually stacked up. It doesn't feel the same without you. Ava keeps asking why her uncle's not coming this year. No apology. No ownership. Just emotional bait. Just, look what you've done. Look who you're hurting. I didn't respond. December 23rd. Ben tried calling. I let it ring out. Then a text. I know I messed up. But you don't have to punish everyone. Just come by for Ava. She misses you. 2 minutes later. Also, Mom and Dad are behind on their mortgage. I know you don't care anymore, but the bank called today. Thought you'd want to know. And there it was. The ask. Always hidden in a warm, fuzzy blanket of guilt. Think of the child. Think of your mother. Be the bigger person. But it always ended the same way. Give us something. December 24th. Text from Dad. You made your point. We get it. But enough is enough. We need help. We're still your blood. That night, I sat by the fireplace in my small apartment. No tree. No noise. No gifts. Just a glass of wine and peace. They always said I'd be lonely without them. But that night, I wasn't. I was finally, blessedly alone. And I was okay. I used to think the silence would kill me. That without the constant buzz, text from Mom, guilt calls from Ben, late night emergencies from Dad, I'd spiral. That without someone needing me, I'd disappear into nothing. But that was never the truth. The truth? That noise was the thing keeping me from myself. It drowned out my own voice. Kept me reactive, small, stuck. And now? Now, I wake up to my own breathing. Not someone else's mess. I didn't go to the family's Christmas dinner. Didn't respond to the pictures, the Ava misses you texts, or the guilt-wrapped requests for money. Instead, I spent Christmas morning walking my dog through Gasworks Park with hot coffee in hand and my phone on Do Not Disturb. Cold wind on my face. No tension. Just the rhythm of my own footsteps and the crunch of frost underfoot. And for the first time in years, I didn't feel like I owed anyone a damn thing. January rolled in quietly. A few weeks into the new year, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. I almost didn't answer. But something told me to pick up. Is this Noah? A voice asked. Calm, professional. Who's calling? My name's Mark. I'm calling on behalf of your father. My gut dropped. I'm not his medical proxy anymore. I revoked that. I know. He mentioned you were the former primary on the family trust. He asked me to reach out. They're in a bit of a bind. Of course they were. They always are when the golden goose finally flies off. I didn't yell. Didn't argue. I just hung up. And then I blocked the number. I sat there for a few minutes after. Not angry. Not anxious. Just breathing. And that's when I realized I wasn't waiting for the next explosion. I wasn't tiptoeing around anyone's moods. I wasn't responsible for holding up a house made of broken promises and emotional extortion anymore. I started doing things just for me. Things I had put off for years because there was always some family emergency. I saw a dentist for the first time in 3 years. Booked a physical. Got blood work done. I called an actual therapist, not the one I saw once in 2016 who kept asking if I just needed more vacation. A real one. Trauma-informed. Gentle. Direct. Honest. She didn't ask me to fix anyone. She just asked me what I needed. That question alone cracked something open inside me. I changed all my emergency contacts, removed every trace of their access, froze the remaining shared accounts, changed the locks, bought a fireproof safe for my documents. Not out of paranoia, out of protection. And it wasn't about revenge. I wasn't sitting in my apartment twirling a villain mustache thinking, oh, they'll pay for this. I wasn't interested in making them suffer. I just didn't want them in my life. There's a difference. I started volunteering on weekends. Not because someone needed me. Not because I was trying to give back. Just because it felt good to help people who didn't demand it. I taught coding to high school girls through a local nonprofit. I brought my dog to a pet therapy day at a senior center. I showed up, stayed present, and walked away each time feeling light. And slowly, the edges of my world softened. I slept through the night. Like really slept, not the kind where you pass out from exhaustion and wake up to dread sitting on your chest. I cooked for myself. Actual meals. Not takeout, not protein bars. Real food. I lit a candle just because. Bought myself fresh flowers at the farmer's market. I started reading again. Journaling. Sitting in the quiet without needing to escape it. And yeah, I thought about Ava. A lot, actually. She's just a kid. She doesn't know what's going on. She didn't vote me out. She didn't ask for any of this. But I also knew I wasn't helping her by going back into a toxic system just so she could keep believing the illusion. Because what would she learn if I did? That you accept abuse because it comes with a familiar face? That family means sacrifice without boundaries? That love means never saying no? No. Maybe one day, when she's older, she'll ask questions. Maybe I'll have answers. But right now, protecting her means protecting myself first. A few friends, ones I'd lost touch with, started reaching out again. One of them, Vince, actually said, I always thought you were the one who had it all figured out. I didn't realize you were just surviving. And he was right. I wasn't living. I was bracing. Bracing for the next call, the next guilt trip, the next unspoken obligation. But not anymore. Now, I walk into my apartment and exhale. I'm not walking on eggshells. I'm walking on my own damn hardwood floor. The scariest part of this whole journey? Realizing I spent most of my life calling something love that was really just debt. Emotional. Financial. Psychological. I thought I had to earn love by being useful, by being available, by never complaining, never needing anything in return. But real love doesn't demand your silence in exchange for proximity. It doesn't punish you for saying no. So yeah, this is what freedom looks like, reclaiming my time, reclaiming my body, reclaiming my mind, reclaiming my damn name. Freedom isn't flashy. It's not loud. It's quiet Sunday mornings. No buzzing phones. No guilt texts, just a warm mug, an open window, and the absence of anxiety in your chest. It's knowing that if the phone rings, it's not someone calling to bleed you dry. It's waking up and not wondering what disaster you'll be guilted into solving today. It's realizing that family isn't always the people who raised you. Sometimes, it's the ones who respect you. They don't miss me. They miss the version of me who never said no. It had been over a month since I walked out of that house, folder in hand, leaving a trail of scorched illusions behind me. I didn't expect them to change overnight. But part of me, the small, bruised part that still wanted to believe in second chances, hoped. Maybe they'd reflect. Maybe someone would say, I'm sorry. Not, you overreacted. Not, we were under stress. Just a plain, honest, we hurt you. But nah, that's not how they operate. They didn't change. They adapted. The first envelope came mid-January. No return address, but I knew that handwriting. My mother's. Always cursive. Always dramatic loops on her Y's and G's like she was still writing letters to soldiers during wartime. 3 pages. Page 1. Regret. We said things in anger. You've always been the strong one. We didn't realize how much we relied on you. You were our rock. Page 2. Guilt. Your father's not doing well. Ben's completely alone now. Ava's not the same. She's withdrawn. We're scared for her. Page 3. The hook. We're selling the house. We're underwater on the mortgage. We just need a little help to get through this. Then we'll never ask again. Please, Noah. Do it for your father. For the family. I read it. Slowly. Then again. They weren't asking for help. They were asking for access. They didn't want me back. They wanted the version of me who didn't say no. The version who paid quietly, sacrificed silently, and wore guilt like a family heirloom. That version of me. He's dead. I folded the letter, walked to the kitchen, dropped it in the trash without ceremony. A few days later, another message came, this time from my dad. You made your point, but dragging this out is cruel. Your mother's crying every night. You're better than this. Cruel. Not the family vote to exile me. Not cheering while I sat there humiliated. Not mocking me online. No, the cruelty was me having boundaries. I didn't respond. Then Ethan messaged me. Not my ex-brother-in-law Ethan. Ben's Ethan. The one who'd filed for divorce. Ben's spiraling. Lying to everyone. Says you're trying to ruin him. Just a heads up. I didn't know how to reply to that, so I didn't. But it stayed with me. Because that's the thing about people like Ben, they never take the fall. They just flail until someone else agrees to cushion the blow. Then came the second letter. Early February. No name. Just a photo. It was Ava, holding a sign in her shaky little handwriting. I miss you, Uncle Noah. The picture was taped to a note. She cries when she hears your name. Think about what this is doing to her. Below that? Also, the heating bill came in. $684. If you can help, we'll pay you back. Promise. They used her. Ava. My niece. My only real connection in that whole twisted web. They weaponized her. Because they knew she was the last crack in my armor. But even that didn't work. I cried when I saw it. I'm not gonna lie. I sat on my kitchen floor, back against the counter, and just wept. Not for me. Not for them. For her. For what she was being taught about love. About family. About what's normal. 2 days later, another unknown number called. I picked up without thinking. Hi, Noah. This is David from Cascade Lending. Your brother Ben listed you as a guarantor on his small business loan application. My heart dropped. What? He applied for a loan under Soul Brew Cafe. Said you were co-signing. We just need verification. I exhaled. Slow and sharp. I never agreed to that. Remove my name immediately. I am not involved. At all. There was a pause. Got it. We'll update the file. Sorry for the confusion. I hung up, shaking. He was still trying. Still lying. Still looking for a backdoor into my accounts, my credibility, my life. That was the moment I froze my credit. Full lock. Every bureau. Every card. Even the backup ones. I even called my lawyer again, just in case. Because when people like Ben can't control you with guilt, they try to control you through consequences. Paper trails. Legal loopholes. Shared history. I wasn't playing anymore. The final straw? A voicemail from my mother. You've made your point, but we're desperate. Please. I'm begging you. Don't let us lose everything. We're family. We're still family. That line. That last one? It made my stomach turn. Because no, we're not. Family isn't a word you throw around like a net when you're drowning in consequences. Family is a choice. A daily choice. And they made theirs loudly, cruelly, publicly, at that Thanksgiving table. You don't get to exile someone and then revoke it when the money runs dry. I sat at my desk that night, looking at the empty inbox, the blocked messages, the folder I had saved with every screenshot, every bank record, every receipt. And I realized something. They didn't miss me. They missed my usefulness. And that's not love. It's not even connection. It's just extraction. So I poured a drink, turned off my phone, opened my laptop, and I booked the moving truck. I was leaving Seattle. Not because I was running, but because I was done being their shadow. They may never understand it. But for once, that's not my problem. I left Seattle 2 months after the last letter. Not in a dramatic storm-off. No, you'll regret this moment. Just packed boxes, a quiet goodbye to the city I once tried so hard to build a life in, and a single moving truck bound for somewhere new. A bigger apartment, nicer neighborhood. No shared history. No drop-ins from family. No tension when I opened my email. Just space. I didn't tell anyone where I was going. I didn't post online. I didn't forward my address. My mom tried to call again, blocked. Ben emailed twice, straight to spam. Even my dad, who used to text me nothing but one-word grunts, sent a full paragraph begging me to be the bigger man. But I didn't flinch. Not this time. My new place has these tall windows that catch the sunrise like it's trying to kiss the hardwood floors. I brew my coffee in silence. No buzzing phone. No fear of what guilt trip might come next. I joined a local gym. Nothing fancy, just enough to get my body moving again. I signed up for a cooking class on a whim. I bought fresh basil in a little clay pot from a farmer's market and kept it alive for 3 straight weeks. It's not that these things are earth-shattering. They're not even expensive. But they're mine. They're mine in a way my time and energy never used to be. Because before, every part of me was leased out to people who only knocked when they needed something. One Saturday morning, while walking through the local park, a woman stopped me and asked about my dog. He's a shaggy mutt, big personality, impossible not to comment on. We ended up talking for 20 minutes. Nothing flirty, nothing intense. Just 2 people connecting without agenda. That moment stuck with me. Because for so long, I associated relationships with strings. Guilt, performance, manipulation. But real connection doesn't require self-sacrifice. I still think about Ava. Of course I do. She's a kid. She didn't ask for any of this. I wonder what she's being told. I wonder if she thinks I abandoned her. I wonder if someday she'll knock on my door asking why I disappeared. And I'll be ready when she does. I'll sit her down, offer her a warm drink, and tell her the truth. I'll show her what boundaries look like. I'll show her what love looks like when it's not covered in strings. I'll show her that walking away from toxic people, even if they're blood, doesn't make you broken. It makes you brave. A few days ago, I got one final envelope. No name, no return address. But I recognized the handwriting immediately. My mom. Inside, a single small card. Not even a full letter. Just 3 words, centered on the page in dark blue ink. We're still family. No apology. No acknowledgement. No ownership. Just the same bait. Same hook. Same trap. I stared at it for a long time. And for the first time in my life, I didn't feel anything. No guilt. No anger. No urge to respond. Not even sadness. Just peace. I folded the card in half and dropped it into the trash. Then I poured myself a glass of water, took my basil plant to the window, and watched the sun break over the trees. If you had told me a year ago that I'd be here, happy, grounded, alone, I wouldn't have believed you. But here's what I've learned. You don't have to bleed to be loved. You don't have to fund someone else's self-destruction to be family. You don't owe anyone access to you just because they share your last name. You're allowed to choose peace. You're allowed to protect your joy. You're allowed to say, no more. People still ask, sometimes, do you ever regret it? Not for a second. If anything, I regret how long it took me to see the truth. They didn't love me. They loved who I was for them. Now, I love me, and I protect that love with everything I've got. I'm not surviving anymore. I'm living, and I'm never going back. If this story touched you, share it with someone who remembers those days too.